quite the crowd here this morning. I just want to get things started because it is quite busy in here. I want to welcome you to our third annual Family Memorial Wax Museum. And we're also representing the students who made honor roll and high honors. Well, I want to thank you for coming. Your child's academic effort in completing this project is going to be remarkable, and I really encourage you to visit all the tables as you walk around. Each student has a little tidbit to tell you about a family member. And you know, what we've learned from the past is sometimes we just stay with our child. We really want you to roam and learn about your community members. So at this time, if you don't mind, please introduce yourselves, let the students tell you all about their projects, and enjoy your morning. This museum does close though at 8:45. So please remember around 8:45 the museum must close. Have a great morning. Thank you.
Students interviewed their relative in their family in December, and then they took the answers that they gathered from their interview, and we went to the computer lab and they composed narratives about the person's life and typed them up, and today was a presentation of those narratives so that the families could see them.
We had to interview, ask our person a bunch of questions, and then we had to make a little collage about them.
Well, it takes their writing skills and brings it, their creative writing skills we work on in class, but this is a different type of writing because it's narrative, it's more factual, nonfiction. They have to be able to come up with a 5-paragraph short report, coming up with and following a sequence, starting with the beginning of their person's life and then coming up with other interesting facts and putting it into paragraphs, and then ending with a conclusion summarizing what's special about their family member.
Well, there are many skills involved: interviewing skills, planning their writing, and actually following through with the writing of the project.
It's a 2-month project, so they start at the beginning of December. They have about 3 weeks to choose the person and complete the interview. And just before vacation, they brought back the interview answers, and then we begin discussing with them how to compose an introduction, how to include sentences that tell about the person that are clear and make sense to the reader, how to compose a conclusion. And once they have a rough draft, that's when we take it to the computer lab and they go through the whole writing process from the interview, where they're just gathering information, to the rough draft, to revisions, to editing, and then today was the final product.
And also the responsibility, because again, we don't do a lot of that. The interview is not part of our daily classroom. That has to take place outside. So for them to coordinate it, again, for a little 6th grader, that's a lot.
I had my students tape record their interviews, so in class they'd take out the tape recorders and listen to the interview happening while they were writing, so they really enjoyed that.
I think my favorite part was learning new things about him.
There's one thing it did for her was let her get to know things about me that she hadn't known before, mostly about my youth.
Learning new things about my mom.
Dad, I learned a lot about him, and it was really fun.
Just pretty much like being able to write about my dad and learn more about him and talk about him to other people.
Just getting to interview her and just learning a little bit more about someone I know and love so much.
I agree with. I think the interview part was the favorite part. we had a lot of fun talking about, you know, in general, what it was like for me to grow up.
Well, every time I get to spend some time with Sam, that's important to me.
They learned things that they didn't know. Some of them didn't know that their family members came from such a large family, like had so many brothers and sisters, especially like grandparents.
Or migrated from other countries,
right.
or you know, the jobs that they had growing up. Kids don't know that a job that you could have as a child a long time ago, when we were young, is a paper boy.
Right, that was right.
So they find out things. They had never heard of chicken pox, mumps, measles. So they find out things about the past that they probably wouldn't find out unless they had to conduct an interview like this.
She has 5 sisters and 2 brothers. She has no cousins, aunts, and uncles.
That he had 7 siblings. I learned that he was a carpenter. I learned that he was in the military, that he was a plant manager.
That he had 6 jobs in his entire life. He was a paper boy. He was a carpenter's helper, Woonsocket call printer. He was in the military. He worked at General Motors, and now he's a painter.
Her grandfather lived with 14 siblings.
I learned that she actually had diabetes. It's something surprising I didn't know.
That he lived in Blackstone his whole life.
Well, he was on his high school football team. He was on the Board of Selectmen of Millville. And he has a Labrador Retriever. And he likes fishing and boating.
My grandmother, Claire Hersey, she owned a horse named Spot, and she lived in the same house for 47 years. She has 6 kids and was married for 32 years. I did my project on my grandfather, Robert Briggs. He was born on November 16, 1947 in Boston, Massachusetts. His full name is Robert Osborne Briggs. His first job was working at a grocery store, and he was in the U.S. Army 1966 to 1969 as a radar repairman.
I did my project on my father. I learned that he had an illness called ulcer. On cars, he worked on, he was a cook, and now he's an insulator at Rogers Insulation Company.
When he had a lot of tough times when he was little.
Well, it's touching.
Yeah,
reading,
I have to, today I have to say when I tried to meet each person, each wax museum person, that I think I got emotional. I got little tears in my eyes when I was shaking their hands because I was so proud of them for bringing that person.
And the kids are so
about
proud when the family members come in.
It's a warm day.
Nice. It's a good day.
Fuzzy day.